Does anyone have a question? I hope so. These questions really add a dimension to this.
You told me about this kind of practice if the snail climb up to Mount Fuji, that slowly. I really think that, yeah, maybe slower than snail or something. But anyway, that's very interesting describing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what choice do we have? We can only go as fast as we're capable of going. And most people want to be at the finish line before they even start the race.
Right.
And we have to build up the chemistry that enables us to truly climb Mount Fuji.
Mm.
And we're all a bunch of snails.
Mm.
We really are. We think we're going to run the 2-minute mile, but when we get out there and try to do, something to embrace God, to have a spiritual life, you discover exactly who you are. And then you have to accept who you are and continue to climb Mount Fuji.
Right.
And as you get stronger, the top gets closer. And then when you're on the top, you look up and there's 6 other mountains you have to climb.
Well, reality is so rushing, fast as possible to achieve, I feel the same way sometimes, of course, but to complete opposite, to settle down step by step, something. It's way, way distance between even myself. So
no, it's look, what's the question?
No, that's not question. That's not question, but this is reality I'm talking about.
Look, I've been through this. When I first started with Rudy, started doing this meditation, I had a very deep need to have a spiritual life. Half of my time I spent depressed before I met Rudy. I would feel it coming on, and it would last for 3 months, 4 months, sometimes the depression. At that point, thank God they weren't giving out opioids and drugs, and I knew that there was something I had to do to be able to get to the other side of my depression. I didn't know what it was. And when I met Rudy, I realized what it was. I had to learn how to work on myself. I had to learn how to use the depression as a reason to grow, not as a reason to defeat myself. And I think that this was such an important factor in my life when I was younger, because, man, I used to have, I'm talking months and months of depression. And even when I started studying with Rudy, I would go out of it and in it and out of it and in it. And it was like, it was like it was like Mount Fuji, oh snail. And I would scream in myself, why are you ever? And then I finally realized, Stuart, this is who you are. Now you have to do the work to get past yourself. And then it began to go away. It took years, but it's finally, if I get a tinge of depression, you can get rid of it in 12 seconds. Know exactly what to do with it. And we're all a bunch of snails. The only problem is, we think that everything is a fast food restaurant. And we don't understand, how important it is to master the craft. To master the craft. Because what do you get in the fast food restaurant? A stomachache,
Right.
But somebody who cooks a gourmet meal, they really have to know about food, about herbs, about flavor, about how long to cook. They have to master the art of cooking. To throw a piece of meat, which is almost meat, on a grill, put it between 2 buns and serve it, doesn't require any mastery. It's fast food. And it's killing people. you know?
Right.
So this is really important. And I know, and I'm not talking from having read about this in some psychology book or psychology class. It's what I went through when I was younger. I mean, one time it got so bad while I was studying with Rudy, he told me, you'll never take another student like me. He told me that. You know, and then it began to change and change. Not that I put on some kind of veneer of spirituality, because I never really felt that worked anyway. Walking around playing that I'm holier than everybody and talking in a soft voice and, you know, bowing, and every other word is namaste. And, you know, I mean, it doesn't work. It had to come from a place deep inside, the transformation of my inner life manifested in what I did in the world. And that took time. And I was a snail on Mount Fuji, climbing. And eventually, you know, I got my footing and the system got stronger, and it became, you know, possible to reach the top of at least that mountain. And then, as I say, there's 50 mountains more that you have to climb. You know? I can only talk from my own life. I don't like to talk from, you know, just some veneer I put on myself of spirituality. I don't believe in any of that. But when it comes from inside, when it comes from that core in one's being, you see it. You see it in somebody's eyes. You see it in the way they live, the way they carry themselves, what they talk about, how they are. You know, it's not in the tone of the voice. And, you know, I mean, Rudy talked with, you know, kind of a New York accent, you know, and so do I, you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm a snail. And I will climb Mount Fuji, but slowly, slowly.
Maybe need a 10 lifetime at least to reach the top of the mountain.
Does anyone else have a question I would like to? And the journey is a wonderful journey, because it's a journey that really explores the depth of one's inner life and all the mysteries and all the magical manifestation. Please, Elaine, will you please sit still? All the mysteries, all the manifestations, they all take place inside a human being. And that journey allows us to build a system inside that is strong enough to embrace God, to embrace higher energy in the universe. To come to a place where God is love. God is every manifestation that exists on the earth. Life itself is the climbing of Mount Fuji. should go my next. I keep bringing up my blog thing that I'm doing. The next one starts out with climb Mount Fuji, oh snail, but slowly, slowly. Go there and read it. I think it might help give deeper insight into this teaching. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And it's not putting oneself down, it's just accepting the reality of exactly who one is in any given moment of their life, and not projecting some false image of ourselves that we create, in order to justify our lives. It's not what I'm talking about. It's really building a system that enables us to live our lives in the moment and to accept exactly who we are in that moment and to continue to climb Mount Fuji. Does anyone else have a question you would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, there'll be meditation tomorrow evening. And, as I always end, maybe you're tired of hearing it, but, I have a deep gratitude for every person that comes to this meditation class. And not only the meditation, it spills up into just about every person I meet in life. I just had some business people I had to deal with today. And, by the end of the conversation, we were just sitting there smiling at each other. And there was a negotiation going on, and there was a bit of a tension on his part. But by the end of the conversation, he looked at me with a big smile on his face. Okay, I'll see what I can do for you. That's the way it should be. Not everybody at each other's throats and greed and getting the better of somebody else and, competing, all this competition bullshit, There's nobody that's any better than anybody else. And everybody has something to teach us. Everybody has something to teach us. Okay, so thank you and God bless you all. There'll be a meditation tomorrow evening, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart. Good night.